I just tell the truth, and telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies. If you mix brilliance with bravery, that we can ignite something. Even this conversation alone can ignite the people.
The time is now to express and for people to believe in themselves. The time is now for it to be okay to be great. People in this world shun people for being great, for being a bright color, for standing out. But the time is now to be okay to be the greatest you.
Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Kelly, and we are back with another video. If you guys are new to the channel and you enjoy true crime stories, news, politics, and so much more, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, guys. I really would appreciate it. And if you are a returning listener, subscriber, well, thank you guys, as always, for being a friend. I really appreciate y'all, and please like the video if you like it. Give me a comment, whatever you can do. It really does help me out, and it's a free way to do so. And I thank everyone in advance for watching this video.
You know the thing.
So let's get right into it. So what's up, guys? We're back once again, and I've missed you guys. I haven't made a video in quite a while. I think it's been even before Trump got reelected, which, you know, thank God for that. Dodged a bullet, even though there are some, you know, major issues with this second Trump term. Maybe we'll get into that eventually. So it just seems like there's been a whole lot going on in the media. You know, I think out of all of the bad things that the media has done in recent years, and all of the propaganda and lies that they've fed and stories that they've tried to push onto people, narratives they've tried to drive home, this is one of the most diabolical. This is one of the most abhorrent, and they've been pushing it for a while. And it makes you really want to stop and wonder, you know, who's actually behind this? Is this natural? There is a problem, but I think it's gotten worse in large part due to the propaganda and the media driving this home more so than it's happened organically. So let's get on with this. And I just want to kind of start at the beginning, because this is where I feel like this has all kind of exploded out of, you know, this one story, and it is the Carmelo Anthony Austin Metcalf story.
There are new details in the deadly stabbing at a track meet in Frisco. In an arrest report obtained by NBC5, the suspect reportedly told police that he acted in self-defense. The new information comes as outrage grows over the senseless killing of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. Our Meredith Yeomans visited a Frisco restaurant with a close connection to the victim's family.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Halo Pizzeria in Frisco.
18-inch heritage, no mushrooms.
Is where food and family mix.
Okay,
it's just really, there's no words to describe how.
First of all, what is this? What is this? Is this an ad? Is this an ad in the middle of your news story, people? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? She's on the phone taking an order. Like, what is this story about? I'm sorry.
Oh, just heartbroken, like our family is, over this. Have a great day.
Carrie Ordas is co-owner of the restaurant where Megan Needham worked alongside her twin sons, Hunter and Austin Metcalf.
You know, Mama Megan, she is just like your classic mom. You know, she took the job as a second income to help, you know, pay for the boys, you know, with all the football and different sports that they were doing.
All, she says, so the twins could achieve their dreams that were dashed for Austin in a matter of minutes.
The devil just needed a foothold in that day, and he saw it and he took it.
At a track meet at Kirkendall Stadium Wednesday morning, Frisco police say Austin was stabbed by 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony. A newly released arrest report details how a tense situation escalated when Austin told Anthony he was sitting under the wrong tent. A short time later, the report says Austin grabbed Anthony to tell him to move, and that Anthony pulled out a knife and stabbed Austin once in the chest.
It was just so unnecessary.
The report says a school resource officer from Staley Middle School next door was first on scene. It says Anthony told the officer, quote, "I was protecting myself. He put his hands on me, and when the officer announced he had the alleged suspect, the report says Anthony responded, quote, "I'm not alleged, I did it."
I woke up and thinking it was just kind of a dream and not real.
Ordas knows nothing will bring Austin back, but she started a GoFundMe for Megan and Hunter and will hold a fundraiser soon.
We're just we want to help in any way we can.
For a family hit by tragedy too close to home. The suspect, Carmelo Anthony, is charged with murder. Tonight, he remains in the Collin County Jail on a $1 million bond, and we have been unable to reach anyone on his behalf.
And he is no longer. He was actually released on bond because of a judge lowering his bond, which, listen, I don't really have many thoughts about that. I think it's stupid. I think that in any other case, he would be held. Normally in Texas, you know, if you're accused of first-degree murder, it's very rare that you're going to get a bond. You know, just, I don't know. To me, it's kind of asinine. But that is besides the point. That's kind of like on another you know, wavelength of this whole thing. But he is out now, and he did raise a shit ton of money. The suspect, I'm sorry, the accused killer of this boy who stabbed another boy at a track meet, okay? And, you know, it's pretty cut and dry, if you ask me, this situation. This, to me, was so simple, honestly. You know, it was senseless, but the facts as they were laid out were immediately clear, you know, that boy, Carmelo Anthony, the young man, had zero right to use deadly force in that situation, okay? You know, I would say that this is coming from both sides, where these people are teaching their kids, like, to hate, pretty much. You know, there's legitimate people within the black community that teach their kids to be scared, or to be, you know, apprehensive, or to be, you know, suspicious of white people off the rip, just because they're white, you know? And I'm sure that there are white people who teach their kids the same thing about black people, and that's just sad to me, because this is what it leads to. This is the natural end to those means, you know? So, I don't know what gave Carmelo Anthony the impression that he was justified in using deadly force, a knife, to stab someone in the chest because he, quote, got hands put on him. You know, absolutely asinine and ridiculous in every single way, okay? And there were people immediately jumping to defend this accused killer of such a clear situation to me. Boys get into fights all the time. You know, they're of that age. They're 17 years old. It was totally senseless and totally unjustified for him to have stabbed and killed Austin Metcalf, another young man, for what? For being told to get up off of his seat, and possibly for Austin Metcalf have grabbed him up to try to get him to leave that area. It's just absolutely ridiculous, and to me there's no question whatsoever about it. I mean, but yet immediately this caught fire, and people from both sides were turning this into an issue. And I think part of it was because of the reaction that came from Austin Metcalf's dad, who, you know, I will say that I think that, like, he took a weak stance from the beginning. I will say that. And I think that, you know, I hate to say that because he's obviously a grieving father, but he came out immediately and was, like, on the side of, like, his son's killer, saying that, you know, like, he forgives him, and that, you know, he doesn't think this was about race, and that people just need to, like, you know, just totally kind of, like, cucked in your white guilt take, okay, which is just, it's just as bad, honestly, in my opinion, you know, because, like, you have righteous anger, and you have the right to feel indignant towards the person that stabbed your son for no good reason and killed him, you know? So, and I think that that's a healthy emotion. It's not like he went out there and went crazy, you know, that's obviously not good, but, you know, there was the reaction from his father that I think rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And then the family of Carmelo Anthony kind of started to come out, and they started to kind of act like they were the victim.
But this is such a tragic case, and it is sad all around. But it's also had its share of surprises, and what happened this morning is no different. We were all waiting to hear the Anthony family talk for the first time on the record. It was supposed to start at 11. 10 minutes turned into 20, then 30. The reason? Austin Metcalf's father, Jeff Metcalf, had walked in.
He was not invited. He knows that it's inappropriate to be near this family, but he did it.
Carmelo Anthony is charged with murder in his son's death at a track meet in Frisco on April 2nd. Jeff Metcalf said nothing. He just stood and waited. The group hosting this told him to leave, or they'd call Dallas police. The group's founder, Dominique Alexander, made this statement.
Is a disrespect to the dignity of his son.
Jeff Metcalf was escorted out by DPD before the family arrived to speak. Ultimately, it was not a court order that made him leave, but because the owner of the building said he was trespassing. Metcalf shook hands with officers and then left. This press conference was about hearing from Carmelo's mom, Kayla Hayes, and we finally did.
We believe in legal process, and that is where the truth will come out. For the family who experienced the loss, my heart truly goes out to you.
The family says they've endured threats, lies, and racial harassment over the last 2 weeks.
Our family has been under attack.
Mostly over a fundraising page they say they haven't been able to access until Wednesday. They're fighting claims they're profiting off of this or living lavishly from the funds raised.
We have endured death threats. My husband had to take a leave of absence because he's afraid what may happen.
So a lot has transpired over the course of this, and I don't want to, go over everything because I feel like this story has been just really kind of like, everyone has talked about it, everyone has had something to say about it, and I think it's just been overdone at this point. And to me, like I said, it's pretty crystal clear, so I don't really think there's much to talk about. And I think that it's tribalistic, the way that people are reacting online, which I'm going to show you some of these comments. But to make a long story short, there was a fundraiser that was put up, not for the victim, right? Not for the young boy and his family who lost his life. Okay, there was a fundraiser that was put up for the accused killer, okay, Carmelo Anthony, and immediately it caught fire. Okay, immediately it started going up and up and up, and these donations that you could see that came with comments, okay, on GiveSendGo platform were despicable. And I think that's what really drove this forward, and it really kind of amped people up. But I heard something that someone said the other day on a podcast or a video that I was watching, and I think it's interesting because, I find it very hard to believe that there's this many people in this country, which I could be wrong, but who are donating to all of these different campaigns in the name of racial tribalism. So like somebody made the point that, maybe it might be something to think about, is like, where are these donations actually coming from? Like, can we actually figure out who is behind all of this? All of the money being driven into these campaigns with these hateful, disgusting comments. Where is it actually coming from? Someone mentioned, that maybe there are these NGOs, that exist that have very little oversight. They have very little checks and balances. And they are like charity organizations that do evil things. I'm thinking of, especially NGOs that like traffic human beings, illegal aliens and things like this. There are NGOs that exist for disgusting purposes that you can't even track where their money goes. So I thought that was an interesting thought, and I think that it rings true with me. And I think that, a lot of this is being stoked by outside agitators and by people who don't actually have any sort of like stake in this, or any sort of, they're just, it's people who are trying to stoke up other people. And so out of like, not their true feelings of empathy or care for either one of these individuals, but out of a desire to stoke up racial hatred or racial tension, they will implant these donations and these comments into these campaigns in order to infuriate people and to drive a narrative. It's coming to a critical mass now. Like, it really is boiling over. And with each one of these stories that are starting to gain national attention, I'm getting more and more fearful, not like fearful for my safety, but like fearful for the country and the relations of every average everyday American citizens. Because for since the beginning of time, the government and the powers that be, whoever you think that is, elites, whatever you want to call it, but specifically I would say the government, most definitely wants to keep blacks and whites and working class people from uniting against them. You know, as long as they can keep us divided, they have better control. And that is just a fact, okay? So the stoking of the racial tensions and the fact that like they don't really actually want to see this die down, it's for a reason. It's actually on purpose. It's by design, because the more they can divide us, the more they can turn us against each other, the better it is for them. Not only, you know, the government, but the mainstream media does this as well, because they like the clicks. They like the attention that they can get, the eyeballs that they can get on their news stations when they drum up all of this bullshit, okay? So these are just some of the comments on this Carmelo Anthony fundraiser, okay? And this is Matt Walsh. Said the comments on Carmelo Anthony's fundraiser are truly horrifying. They make it very clear that these people don't care whether he has a valid self-defense claim or not. They see Metcalf's murder as an act of racial vengeance. So this one says, from anonymous giver, $10, and I hope we help you raise $1 million. These white people can die mad like they ancestors did. Whites have been obsessed with black people for years. It's 2025. The hate is embedded into their DNA at this point. They don't know if they love us or hate us. LOL. Too bad we don't care. Okay. Banff, we are the defenders of our lineage. This is America, and these flat whiteness immigrants from all over the world has always been open enemies towards foundational black Americans from day one. No more. And that's from Rock ATL with a $25 donation. From Jeremiah, $25. I am donating again after seeing the need for additional protection / expenses. Well, I'm sure your $25 is going to go far, Jeremiah. I am so glad to see him get released on bond. These crackers need to understand that we are not our ancestors, and they will reap what they sow. I hope the knife made a full recovery. Justice for Carmelo. With the black king emoji down here, right? Because, yeah, that's real king shit, right? Stabbing someone through the heart. Real king-like. So that's just a taste, you know, and that's not all. There's a few more that I pulled up here. Okay, here's a sister in Jesus Christ. Let's see what she has to do with a $1,000 donation. She really came out the pocket. She stood on business. Okay, this is a prayer, okay, for a murderer, alleged. Heavenly Father, we come to you in prayer first to say thank you for allowing us to be here. We ask you, Lord, please help or something Carmelo, his parents, and his defense, and fight this battle for him. Thank you for giving him strength to defend himself against his attackers that day, and now thank you for giving him this victory. Lord, let his enemies be utterly confused or something. I don't know. In Jesus Christ's holy name we pray. Well, strike you down, ma'am, because how dare you use my Holy Father's name for this foolishness, okay, for this utter hate and disgusting message, okay, because it's not good. It's never good, okay, for someone to have lost their life over a verbal altercation, okay, even a physical altercation. It's absolutely ridiculous. These young boys, two 17-year-old boys, couldn't have just, like, fought like regular teenage boys do. Like, why does anybody in their right mind think that this could ever be justified? Like, it must take a small brain. So those are just some. There were so many others, guys. Like, I mean, just truly disgusting things. The Give, Send, Go founder or the CEO or whoever he is has disabled the comments now on his campaign and said that, you know, but that came after many weeks of endless streams of hatred, anti-white hatred under this campaign from God knows who. I'm assuming, you know, just your average everyday black donator, okay, with the $25 and $10 and $5, and just spewing absolute hate towards white people. For what? For a 17-year-old boy who now probably has ruined his whole life, and people are encouraging this behavior. I mean, if you cannot stand up and just say what's right and what's wrong in the name of just goodness, you know, forget whatever racialized feelings you have about this. I mean, do you want to see your people be better? Do you want to see your people thrive in society? Do you want us to all be able to come together against a greater enemy or not? Because this sort of thing doesn't help, okay? You're not uplifting your people if you're black or if you're white or whoever, if you, whatever group you belong to, by doing things like this, tribalistic things like this, and encouraging more behavior like this. You're not, okay? And that leads me to the next thing. So just the other day, this story went absolutely crazy and has blown up, you know, just in the same exact way. And again, I will revert back to the position I made on the last story, where I have to wonder, how organic is this money that is being just heaped upon these things? How organic actually is it, and who is it actually coming from? You know, because this story, you know, even though I will say it is, to me, not as bad as the last one because nobody died, you know, but like, people are making it seem like that this was just like the end of the world, and instead of like just looking at this situation where somebody used a bad word and, you know, moving on with our lives like we've never heard one before, like we don't hear it every day on the radio, you know, the dreaded N-word. Okay, people need to get a grip. People really need to get a grip. So this is Shiloh Hendricks, and I'm sure you guys have seen this as well, but let's watch this video here.
The fuck you call him a nigger, the child?
The fuck you talking
Did you
about?
call the child the nigger word?
None of your fucking business.
It is my business. You call him a nigger? Okay, why don't you have the balls to say it right now again?
Fuck you, nigger.
Okay.
Nigger.
All right, that's what you say.
You don't go digging through people's shit, you dumb fuck.
Nobody dig into your shit.
A little fucking kid just did, you dumbass.
That little kid, you call him a nigger?
Yeah.
The little child?
What if he acts like one? He's gonna.
Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child, 5-year-old, a nigger, the N-word.
If that's what he's gonna act.
That's what you're gonna call him.
That kid is not
Like.
You know, that's a hate speech. And you can be recorded for that.
I don't give a shit.
That's a hate speech.
Fuck off.
Okay, we'll see about that, what the internet has to say about you.
So first of all, you know, the best part of the video is her mocking this Somali immigrant. I don't know if I think he's illegal. He's got to be illegal. And with the that made me laugh. That made me LOL. Obviously, we don't love the use of the hard R N word. You know, like it's not something I would condone. I've never used that word. I think it's disgusting, actually. You know, because I think it's just, you know, I'm a person that I listen to rap music, and so like if the word is said in a song, like if the song is like rapped and people are, you know, the lyrics include the word nigga, you know, like I'll say it. I don't care. Like to me, I don't have bad intentions when I'm singing along to a song, and I know what's in my heart, and it's not that big of a deal. Okay, in that circumstance, I would never utter the word in the way that it's being used in this context. I think it's ugly to do that, and I think, you know, you have some sort of hate in your heart if you do that, okay? Because you're using it in a way that is meant to inflict hurt and pain onto people. And I think people give it too much power because it is just a word at the end of the day. But I don't like being called cracker. I don't want to be called cracker. All of these disgusting anti-white, you know, slurs that people use online, I think are equally as disgusting. I think any type of, you know, slur when used at someone in a hateful way or in a derogatory way, I think is pretty disgusting. I think let's not do that in a civilized society, maybe. I don't know. Call me crazy, but to me, no, I don't condone. But at the same time, who's the Somali fuck who is recording this woman with her baby? Okay, why is he inserting himself into this, recording her, saying she's doing a hate speech, and that we'll see what the internet has to say about that. I think that is what made this story reach the point that it's reached now, where this woman has now raised over $700,000 on GiveSendGo from a multitude of donations, all because she had this viral video and she owned up to using the hard R N word, okay, at a kid at a park, you know. Not great, not great. We don't like that. We don't really like that. That's not a good thing to do. But at the same time, does it warrant this woman's entire life to be ruined? Does it warrant all of her personal information to be put out onto the internet and threats to be made to her, and for her to have to feel unsafe in her home, and for her to have fear for her children's lives? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's equally as disgusting to me to do all of that. And I think this whole cancel culture is what really has, really gotten people worked up, because people are sick of this. And there are people who are taking this story and, they just love it because this white woman said the hard R N-word, and that's their whole like motivation behind, yas queening this girl. But I think for the majority of people, it's people who are fed up with the culture that we've been living in, where people have not been allowed to just exist. And if they have a bad moment in society, they have to fear for their safety, for their family safety, for being recorded and being put on the internet forevermore. I think that is just it's so over and it's so done, and I don't even know why it even started in the first place. And I think that's where a lot of this is coming from. So do two wrongs make a right? Absolutely not. And no, this woman did not deserve to get her entire life smeared all over the internet. I'm sorry, she didn't. She used a bad word. If you don't like it, don't associate yourself with her, okay? Don't look at it. I think people need to really go within themselves and understand why we've become such soft pussies, because it's ridiculous. If you hear a bad thing that you don't like, look the other way. Don't listen to it. We don't have to make it into a national crisis, okay, that everyone needs to get on board with. This mob mentality is just, it's done. Honestly, it's really done. Cernovich had this tweet, which I thought was good. Luigi Mangione is at almost $1 million. He straight murdered someone in cold blood. Not one person melting down over Shiloh Hendrix has a problem with this fundraiser. So tired of the virtue signaling. Morally fake. True.
So a white woman defends her child from being bullied in a park, is recorded by a man who was arrested for what? And y'all are outraged at the mom for using a word? A word.
Literally.
Y'all are doxing and threatening a woman because she used a word, to the point where she needs to ask for help to relocate her family. And this is the world we live in? A mom defending a word hurts y'all so much. A word that y'all use every day. A word you use in music every day hurts you so much that you decide, a mom defending herself. And then the person that recorded it, where's the parents at to the child? Have they came out?
Literally.
Have they told us why their child was in the park by himself? No. Y'all won't hold that person accountable. Y'all just want the kids to run around and tear shit up. This is what I'm talking about. And I'm glad that white folks see this bullshit and are helping this lady. Let's get at them.
And this is the Somali. Okay, that was the Somali, and that is honestly, truly the bigger point of all of this, is that not the word, the mean word that was used. To me, what I'm most offended by is the Somali, alleged pedophile, okay, in the park recording women with their children. What are we doing? What are we doing? Okay?
Flash news to everybody. If investigations are happening on a serious crime which I was being accused of, in past,
yeah,
that I've insulted somebody, assaulted, I should say, in the English terminology.
Go back to your country.
Which has been proven that I have never done anything wrong. And the case was dismissed. Why am I guilty of something in a court of law dismissed? Tell me, why am I? I'm getting death threats.
Good.
Why?
Honestly, not. Just joking.
This is a miracle.
Not great either. Okay,
Flash news to everyone.
I mean, but listen, this guy, if we're gonna threaten somebody, let's threaten this fucking guy here, okay? Not the mom in the park with the baby. Let's be real, guys, because I think this is another thing that's driving people, especially people like me, because I think that a lot of this is also another distraction, and the reason why I think with the not NGOs and people like activists pushing this race war between whites and blacks has a lot to do with immigration as well, okay? Because the more that whites and blacks fight each other, the more that illegal immigration is getting ignored, and the more, because we were coming together on this point, honestly. Black people were really starting to come around about, you know, and seeing the light with this immigration situation that we're in. And it's a crisis. It really is. It is actually the main crisis, to me, the biggest problem that our country has right now. And Trump's not doing enough, okay? He's really starting to piss me off, actually, because we're not getting the mass deportations that we need and that we voted for. And so what we're getting is this now. We're getting this increasing levels of tension between white people and black people who own this nation. Actually, this nation belongs to whites and blacks, okay? That's just the way that it is. We started this country, okay? We did. Okay? And that's just the way that it is. And now Hispanics, like, have doubled the population of black people in this country, or maybe even tripled, I think, or close to tripled. Okay, pretty soon white people are going to be outnumbered in this country. It's insane, and yet we're fighting each other. We're going to sit around one day looking stupid when this country that we built turns into Somalia or Mexico or some other third world piece of shit, because we're too busy fighting each other to see what our real problems are and who our real enemies are, okay? And then the Rochester NAACP wants her investigated for her words, guys, for her meanie mom words, okay? As if that's something we need to really get into in this country. Because all of you people, if that's the case, all of you out there on Carmelo Anthony's fundraiser and out there on Instagram that I see every single day, hurling the most disgusting comments about and towards white people, then all of you better, like, rue the day that we start arresting people for their words, okay? Because I've seen some of you out there, and you are disgusting people. People have disgusting mouths. People are imperfect people. So the fact that they really have the audacity to get up here and demand that the police look into her for a crime is laughable to me. But they did tell Newsweek, and they gave a comment, the Rochester Police Department, that they were looking into it. So this was the comment. RPD takes all reports and allegations seriously and must thoroughly gather information to ensure due process. We recognize the behavior captured in the video has raised many concerns, and we appreciate the community's patience during the investigation and moving forward. So it says its findings have been submitted to the Rochester City Attorney's Office for review and consideration for a charging decision. I got your charging decision right here, okay? Yeah. So they really needed a whole investigation. Like, man hours were put into this from the police department. And now it's going to the city attorney for a charging decision on a word, guys, on a word. This is America, okay? What is this world we're living in? So here's her fundraiser on Give, Send, Go. Like, it's crazy to me. You know, again, I think this woman has every right to defend herself, and if she wants to say any disgusting thing out of her mouth that she wants to say, go right ahead, ma'am. That's on you, okay? Listen, I don't condone the use of that word, especially hurled in a hateful way. I think it's disgusting. I don't think it defines this woman at all. I don't think she's probably not even racist. She's probably, you know, normally maybe a lovely woman. I don't know. She could be a disgusting pig. I just, either way, it doesn't really matter, because she can say whatever she wants. And she didn't hurt anyone. It's not like she stabbed somebody through the heart and killed them or anything like that. You know, God forbid. But I just think that it's a little rich how much people are reacting over this, that it's the same people who have supported Carmelo Anthony and said that, like, you know, he used self-defense in that scenario, that are now acting so offended, clutching their imaginary pearls over this woman using a word, okay, that they hear every day. We all hear it every day, okay? We all hear it on the radio every single day. and you're not offended. You're just not, okay? And so the Give Send Go founder or CEO, he actually disabled comments on this fundraiser as well, and it was because he said that there were he said it's, and people still find a way, you know, like now, so instead of like the name that they're putting, you know, instead of anonymous giver, or they put their name, they'll put like whispered to me hard R please. What she did was self-defense. See, it's like it's a joke. And I'm sorry, what is it? Nilthy figures. Is that right? Is that fucking right? So this is what we're doing here. Archie Bunker Cigar. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it means. What does it mean? Does anybody know? Corey Sutton. Okay, so that's just a random name. But this is what I'm talking about, guys. This is just where we're at. Piers Morgan. People are very retarded. Yeah, because Piers Morgan had an absolute hissy fit on his show today. He was just doing the utmost. Guys, I'm going to show you a clip from that because it was quite laughable. Stop black privilege. So this is just what I'm talking about. Say it louder. You know, not great, guys. Just not good. Let's not encourage this. Okay, just like we don't want to have black families encouraging their black sons to defend themselves in the same way that Carmelo Anthony, quote unquote, defended himself. We don't want to encourage people, our people, white people, you know, whoever your people are out there. You don't want to encourage your people to do the wrong thing in society. Don't we want to make things better? That's what I want. What do you guys want? What do y'all think? I don't know. To me, I'd say let's try to uplift people and encourage them to do the right thing next time, instead of saying, you know, and I get this is all a troll, this is all a joke. And I like to laugh just as much as the next guy. I love it, in fact, you know, and I think an inappropriate joke is never poorly placed. You know, I listen, you can joke about anything and I'll probably laugh. The more inappropriate it is. But I think in this case, when tensions are this high, let's just not encourage other white people to start going out there and hard R-ing people. Okay, not a good, no, we're not, that's not what we're out here to do. Let me just show you guys this clip from Piers Morgan. There was an absolute meltdown. If you guys want to, you know, go check out this episode, it was actually really funny. Because there was this panel of people where, like, you know, they had this girl said that, you know, said the N-word with the A, you know, like I just did earlier. You know, she just kind of trolling. She didn't put her whole chest behind it and say the hard R, but, you know, and then like Myron Gaines from Fresh and Fit were kind of on the same page. And then this other chick was just kind of present, you know, and then Piers Morgan and Mark Lamont Hill were like dying on the hill of like worshiping black people and white guilt and all this, other foolishness. But I just want to show you guys the end of this clip because it was really, he really took it to the next level of victimization here.
So let's not pretend that these are opposite sides of the same coin. When white people say, let's save our country, and even using language of our country, when black people built this thing, when you say that, you're talking about forcing people out of the country. You're talking about laws that discriminate. You're talking about doing harm to people. Let's not pretend these are the same thing, just like these GoFundMe campaigns are not the same thing. I'm okay if everybody gets out of the GoFundMe industrial complex. I'd love that. But let's not pretend that supporting someone for a fair trial is the same thing as supporting a grown white woman berating and calling the N-word to a 5-year-old autistic black child. And the fact that everyone in here can't be unanimous in condemning that says exactly how they're not the same.
I totally agree. So just to be clear, Piers Morgan is okay with raising funds for a black young man who stabbed someone in the chest over a verbal altercation. He totally agrees with that, but not for a woman who's doxxed and threatened and is probably going to have to move and probably can't ever find a job ever again because some Somali immigrant decided to film her and put one of her worst moments that she's had, maybe she was having, you know, who knows what kind of day, and put that all over the internet, dox the shit out of her and make her fear for her life. He's totally fine with that. And he's totally agreeing with Mark Lamont Hill, who is a black racist and a grifter, okay? An absolute douchebag, okay? Just in every way. He thinks he's smarter than probably everyone on this panel. But now he's going to go after this girl, this chick right here who, you know, I don't know. I don't know if you guys remember her, but she's kind of cringe, but whatever. At least she stood on business on this segment, so.
Great. I'm going to go to Lily Gaddis and just ask you one more time. I mean, you've been so unashamedly proud of being a racist today, proud of using the N-word whenever you feel like it. You've had a bit of time to think about this. Is that how you want people to leave this panel debate, with thinking of you as a disgusting racist?
I don't really care what people think about me. As long as you care about what people think about you, you have no power and you lose your country. What I care about is freedom of speech. And if you're not allowed to say the most offensive things in this country, you do not have freedom of speech. I don't care what anybody says. So that's the main crux of this situation. That's what I care about with this situation. It is, we have lived for far too long in a country where you can have your life destroyed. And people say, oh, she doesn't need this money. Her life's destroyed, by the way. She'll never be able to get another job. She's got children to have to support. And I don't want to live in a country where you can say an inappropriate, rude thing, which, by the way, black people can say things to white people all the time and they never get canceled. There's no backlashing about this. I want to live in a country where people are allowed to say what they want unashamedly. And you will
well, go
not
on then,
have
say it. Say
you
the
will
N-
not have
go on,
free
say,
speech.
go on, say the N-word, go on.
No. Don't invite. No. I don't want you to invite this woman to say a racially harmful term in front of me, because I'm the only on here. So if she says it, I'm the victim of it. So please don't invite her for ratings to call me the N-word. That's basically what it's going to be. There's a bunch of white people up here. You and one Uncle Tom on the left here, and to ask her to say the N-word while I'm here is ridiculous. You would not sit here with a Jewish person and say, please use a Jewish slur in front of this Jewish. It's ridiculous. I understand you don't have any bad intent, Pierce. I understand what you're trying to do, but we already know she's racist, and I don't want to invite a racial harm to me.
I hear you, and I accept that, and we'll leave it there. Thank you all very much.
Oh my god, I thought he was gonna blast off into space, okay? My god, triggered is the understatement of the year. And then Piers, what a fucking little cucked bitch, okay? What, like, did he really think that was gonna fly? Did he really? He was trying to get a viral moment there. He was hoping that she was just gonna like spit it out of her mouth, and then Mark Lamont Hill really would have probably been sent into the atmosphere. But it's just the reaction to Piers Morgan even asking her to do it. You know, it's just it was insane. It was very much insane. Unhinged is the word that I would use. And I think he just said he was going to be victimized. He was going to be the victim, the only victim, if she did happen to utter that word on Piers Morgan uncensored. And it's just laughable to me. So I think people need to get thicker skin. I think people need to get a freaking grip on their selves. Like, seriously. Okay.
Breaking news, the man accused of hitting and killing a Hamilton County deputy with his car yesterday is now being held without bond.
Rodney Hinton Jr. made his first court appearance just about an hour ago, and WLWT News 5's Giacomo Luca was there in the courtroom for that hearing. He is leading the way with what unfolded. Good morning, Giacomo.
Tiffany, a very challenging morning in the courtroom. Rodney Hinton Jr. appearing to show no remorse for that alleged attack. As he was being escorted out of the courtroom, he appeared to shout at deputies he's going to be gone forever, though it's unclear if he's referring to the deputy that he's accused of killing or his son, who was killed by a Cincinnati police officer on Thursday. Here's what we learned from court earlier this morning after that tense appearance, surrounded by dozens of deputies inside and outside the courtroom. We're learning more details from the Hamilton County Prosecutor's Office about what's now being called a deliberate attack. Prosecutors say witnesses watched Hinton stop his car outside of graduation ceremonies for students at the University of Cincinnati, then ram the recently retired deputy who was outside his vehicle conducting traffic, ultimately ending his life. Now, the defense explained that this has been an emotionally charged week for Hinton after his son was killed by that Cincinnati police officer on Thursday. Meanwhile, Hinton is going to be held at the Claremont County Jail by the judge's order for his safety until a no bond appearance is set to determine whether or not he'll be held as that judicial process plays out. At the Hamilton County Courthouse today, Giacomo Luca, WLWT News 5.
Now, Giacomo, you mentioned that moment when he shouted out, but what was the overall mood in the courtroom during this hearing? We did see so many deputies that were there for it.
Tiffany, I've been to a lot of courtrooms for a lot of criminal cases over the last 15 years. I've never seen so many deputies show solidarity like that in the courtroom. The mood was solemn. and certainly the jabs by the defendant in this case as he was exiting the courtroom. The deputies just remained silent as he walked out.
Giacomo Luca, thank you so much for that report. Now, this case linked to another deadly incident. The man suspected of killing the deputy, Rodney Hinton Jr., is the father of an 18-year-old who was shot and killed by police in East Price Hill on Thursday.
Cincinnati police have released a body camera video showing the moments that led up to one of their officers shooting and killing Ryan Hinton after police say they'd tracked down a stolen car to an East Price Hill apartment building. Cincinnati police held a press conference yesterday around 11 o'clock to release this video. Officers say when they cornered that stolen car, 4 people got out and started running. Officers chased those suspects. When one of the suspects slipped, one of the officers on scene said they heard a gun hit the ground, and alerting another officer who was in the process of tracking another suspect came in contact with that armed teenager, that officer firing his service weapon 4 to 5 times.
Let me be very direct. We cannot allow individuals to flee from officers with a loaded firearm aimed at them. When this happens, the outcome is almost always tragic.
Now, police did attempt to revive him, but 18-year-old Ryan Hinton died on the scene.
Yesterday, 2 of the suspects in that initial vehicle theft investigation also appeared in court. You can see them here. Jarrell Austin and D'Anthony Bullocks are accused of receiving stolen property and obstructing official business. A 4th person is still on the run.
So have you guys heard about this one? This is disgusting. Honestly, this is one of the most depraved things I've heard. You know, and people online who are, there are people calling this man Father of the Year. They're calling him a hero. They're calling him a great father who did the right thing by murdering an innocent police officer. Not even the cop that shot his son, okay, who was a criminal, who was running from police in a stolen vehicle with a stolen gun, and then ran on foot with the gun, allegedly pointed it at officers, and was subsequently shot and killed by the police. Okay, seems justifiable to me if you wanna ask, and you know we still don't have all the facts from that either. So with a knee-jerk reaction from seeing just a snippet of body cam footage, this man goes on a rampage and senselessly runs over an innocent man. I mean, for what? Just for vengeance? An eye for an eye? People are like legitimately on the side of this murderer. I mean, that's what he is. He murdered a cop, okay, for no reason other than he was mad that his son was gunned down by police because his son was acting like a criminal and that he was, you know. I mean, it's just, those are the facts, and I hate that we have this here, but at the same time you have to ask yourself, why was this 18-year-old boy in the situation that he was in, where he was not taught to interact with the police in a better way, where he was not taught to commit felonious acts like stealing vehicles and stealing guns and then running from the police? Okay, why are we even here? Why are we in the situation where now this 18-year-old has lost his life? You know, a sheriff's deputy who was retired, from what I understand, who was just directing traffic, totally innocent of anything that transpired, has lost his life, and now this father has done something so reckless and stupid, putting, you know, his life is now over, which deservedly so, but it's like, all of this for what? All of this for what? Absolutely senseless. And then you have people like defending it online. This is kind of like almost the craziest story of the 3 to me, because this is so blatantly idiotic, and the people could defend him in any way and not say that absolutely he was wrong. You know, it would have been wrong even if he went after the police officer who was actually guilty of pulling the trigger and shooting the bullet that killed his son. That would have been wrong. But that's not even what he did. He did this to an innocent person who had nothing to do with the situation. Just utter nonsense. Utter, like, senseless violence out of a completely, like, emotional response that you don't even have all the facts yet. It's so blatantly stupid to me. And, you know, it makes me sick, honestly. Instead of just being able to, like, put your racial tribalism to the side, or putting even, like, your feelings of empathy towards this man because he lost his son, whatever the case may be, and just being able to say outright, hey, this is not right what you did in response to your son being shot because he was in the act of being a criminal. Okay, your son was in the wrong, sir. Your son was wrong. Okay, he was running from the cops with a gun. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Okay, so for you then to go and do what you did, no one should be taking your side. I'm sorry. There should be no one. Maybe your family if they want to, whatever. Somebody who has a stake in it. But the fact that strangers are on here saying this man is a hero, especially after I acted in court, it's very alarming. Very alarming. Anyone who would encourage this behavior and tell this man that he's anything other than a despicable human being for taking an innocent life on an emotional knee-jerk reaction, you're part of the problem. You are. It's the same people that are encouraging the Shiloh Hendrickses of the world to, you know, go out there and say the hard R N-word at people and use more racial slurs at people. Are the same people who are telling this man and others like him that he's in the right for going and taking someone else's life into their own hands and killing an innocent man because he's mad that his son acted like a criminal and got shot by the police. You people are disgusting. All of you. All of you. Equally as disgusting are all of you. And you're not helping. No one who's doing that is part of the solution. No one who's doing that wants to have good race relations in this country. No one who's doing that truly wants to have harmony and peace in the world. You're sowers of hatred. You are sowers of chaos. And I just think it's outrageous. It really is. It really is. You can, you know, you can have an opinion on the matter. You can say that, you know, you think that, like, the cops were wrong. They weren't justified in shooting this boy or this young man, whatever. You can say that, you know, you thought Shiloh was justified for using the language she used, whatever. You can say it was wrong. You can say it was right. But to encourage the behavior and to not be able to condemn something when you know that it's wrong and when you know that somebody is dead wrong and this man is absolutely 100% in the wrong, you know, if you can't do that, then why even are you speaking on it? Why are you even bringing your weird opinions and putting them on social media to try to drum up more of this tension and fear and just absolute chaos and hatred that we already have in this country, and it's growing by the day just because of this situation, situations like this. So yeah, this is just not good, guys. Not good at all. And I want to know what you guys think about it all, because I think it's truly, we're in a bad spot, y'all. We are. And I think, like I said, it's a lot of this is a distraction, and it's being pushed, you know, by people, bad actors, who want to see blacks and whites fight against each other and to stay divided against each other and to truly hate one another in order to further their agendas and to further this, like, push to make America into a completely different sort of country and to usher in all of this illegal immigration and these people that they feel that they will be able to better control than naturalized Americans, natural born Americans, I'm sorry. So I don't know. Those are just my thoughts. I think that makes sense a lot. I know that there are people out there who truly hate people of other races, you know, and I see it a lot. I see a lot. I mean, I would say that, like, there's more black people who hate white people than the other way around. But tides are starting to turn on that too. And I see a lot of white people becoming more and more bold and hateful in their rhetoric too. And I think that's just as bad. I mean, it's all just bad. I mean, why can't, like I said, we come together to fix the real problems that we have and realize that this is, like, black people have already, like I said, black people have already been overtaken by Hispanics in population growth. it's time to wake up. It's time to really wake up and understand that we are not each other's enemies. We need to fix the problems that are happening within the Black community that are very real, and, you know, fix the hatred that has been spewed from both sides, and to really start to set better examples instead of teaching people that behavior like these are justified, or are, you know, funny or cool, or, you know, that these people are heroic in any sort of way. Is so problematic, and it's so bad for everyone in this country and the world at large. So disgusting stuff, really, really bad. But I want to know what you guys think, so please let me know in the comments down below, and you know, subscribe to the channel, do all the things, guys. I really appreciate y'all, and until next time, I'll see y'all later. Bye.
I just tell the truth, and telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies. If you mix brilliance with bravery, that we can ignite something. Even this conversation alone can ignite the people.
The time is now to express and for people to believe in themselves. The time is now for it to be okay to be great. People in this world shun people for being great, for being a bright color, for standing out. But the time is now to be okay to be the greatest you.